877-349-3002. We hope to talk with you soon.
Hello, we're here on the Be Live show with Rita Pollitt, who is a resident of Cambridge for over 20 years. And she has an interest in the Queen Elizabeth II, which is a transatlantic ship that she's traveled on more than once. Hi, Rita. Thank you for being on our show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And what interested you on this cruise ship to begin with?
Well, the transatlantic crossings were what I was interested in, Sharon, because I don't fly.
Okay.
And back in 1975, I was stuck in Paris. I had flown to Paris, and I was there for a week or two visiting friends, and suddenly decided I could not get back on an airplane. Could not. So I went into the American Express building, which was then located in the heart of Paris, and Cunard, the shipping line, had an office, or rather a desk, at the American Express building. And I said to the two men who were packing papers up there, I said, get me on that ship, meaning the Queen Elizabeth II. And the man in charge said, it's impossible. All our papers have gone to London. The ship is leaving tomorrow, and we can't do a thing for you. And I said, get me on that ship. I don't care if it's a barge. I need to go by sea. I can't fly home. And he seemed to understand after a while. And he contacted London and got me a space on the QE2, which was leaving the next day. And I lied when I said I'm all packed up and ready to go. Ran back to my hotel and packed up and caught what they called the boat train from Paris to Cherbourg and got on the Queen Elizabeth ship and came home.
Now, I've taken cruises but never one that long, transatlantic.
Yeah.
What's it like being out there in the middle of the ocean on a ship?
That's a good question, because it can be beautiful and very serene. The ocean can be smooth, it's gloriously green, and the skies are blue. And it can be very rough and very angry, and you can be terribly seasick. So you have a variety. This is North Atlantic that we're talking about. We go from Southampton up through the North Atlantic, which
Southampton, England.
England. If you look at the globe, it's the shorter route. On the way, you might see whales. Passing Newfoundland, might have a lot of fog. And in good weather, you might see dolphins skipping alongside the boat and seemingly smiling up at the passengers. And on the way, you have very good food. You have dancing and music and entertainment. But for me, the best entertainment is walking around the deck.
And I heard that you were on the ship when the anchor broke loose.
Yes, that was in the 1980s. I happened to be seated at the chief engineer's table, and something happened after dinner we were all in a lounge, including the chief engineer. He knew something was wrong, and the ship lurched. It was a decided something wrong. And the next day we heard that the anchor had broken loose and knocked a hole in the side of the QE2.
Oh my goodness.
And we were taking on water. And it was their policy to be truthful with us. And so they announced that there was a hole in the side of the Queen Elizabeth, and we were taking on water at a rapid rate, but they were trying to balance it by getting rid of ballast, which is also water, and they weren't succeeding too well because we were taking on more than we were giving off. But they held a service, special service. Everybody in the world came to that service in the theater, and people were weeping and wailing, and we were slowed down. The ship was lurching a little, and a storm had broken out too on top of it. So it was very frightening, and as I said, people were wailing and crying, and I had so much faith in that ship, Sharon, I wasn't even afraid. I just knew she would get us home safely, and of course she did. During the service, Captain Bennell read the service to us, and I knew him to be a smiling, placid gentleman, and he was very somber. And towards the end, he asked us to sing "For Those in Peril on the Seas," and every time I hear it, it brings back that memory.
So you have traveled on the ship more than once.
I've been on that ship many, many times. I tried to count it up, and I would think it's upward of a dozen times. But I've crossed
That's
the
a lot.
transit. It's a lot, yeah, and it feels like home to me.
And is there a certain mood you get in, say, I want to take a transatlantic trip now? What?
Well, I spent a lot of time in England.
Okay.
And I lived there, so my time was scheduled. I went back to school there.
Okay.
But you could ask me tomorrow morning, and I'd want to take a transatlantic.
Very good. And so this ship has played many roles, not just as a transatlantic ship, but also as a pleasure cruiser, and also. And where does it go? Did it go as a pleasure cruiser?
Yes, it went to the Caribbean, and I did take a Caribbean voyage.
Okay.
That was delightful, and the captain was Captain Jackson, who was a very astute person and very reassuring captain. And we had a storm. Naturally, we had a storm. And instead of going to the place we were supposed to, we went to Puerto Rico, and that turned out beautifully.
Okay. And another role that this ship has played was as a sailor ship in the Falkland War. Is that right?
That's true. In the 1980s,
Okay.
during the Falkland War, the ship was converted to a troop ship, and guns were manned on it. This is not the QE2 I knew, of course, and it was sent into the Falklands. It was under fire, and survived beautifully.
And I heard that recently they have decided to retire this ship.
Yes.
What's that about?
Well, that's very sad for me and people like me.
Yeah?
She will be retired. She's doing 2 more voyages. Then she'll be a hotel in Dubai, as I
Well,
understand.
that's great. I mean, let's.
Yeah, but it's not as great as being a QE2.
Not as convenient as England, but, you know, I'm sure people will enjoy the ship there as well.
But it won't be a ship. It'll be a hotel.
A hotel,
Yeah,
yes.
it'll be tied up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, but it's been in service for 40 years, you realize. It started in 1967 and was built in Scotland as one of the only 2 luxury ships afloat at that time, transatlantic. The first was the SS France, and I had the pleasure of being on the SS France in 1974. And
How does it compare to that?
The France was, I would say, more traditional, very European, very gorgeous. And it had artwork and tapestries and exquisite food, French food, couldn't be beaten. The QE2 was a streamlined version of it, more modern, also very beautiful in its way, but different, and more 20th, 21st century. And the food, I must say, was not as good, but you can't compare with French food.
Yes. And you have traveled on ships in addition to
Yes,
those?
I have. I've been on freighters.
Mm-hmm.
When I couldn't get the QE2, I took many freighters back and forth across the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes. And so you seem to be interested in history in general, the ocean in
yeah.
particular?
No, I'm an art historian.
Okay.
So it's art history.
The art of the ship and
No,
its...
the history of art,
Yes.
Renaissance, for
Okay.
example.
Okay.
But I am interested in history of all kinds, yes. Yeah.
Good. And is there anything else you would like to say about the ship?
I wish they wouldn't retire her for my sake and for the sake of other people like me who won't fly.
Yes.
And I wish her luck wherever she is, and to her crew and the staff who have always been so wonderful to me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Rita, for being on our show.
Sharon. Thank you.
Okay. And we'll be welcoming our next guest, who is Wilder Etienne, a rap artist from Cambridge.
See that?
Okay. Thank you, Wilder, for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you here. You're interested in rap music, and you perform rap music now.
Definitely. I've been doing it for over like 10 years.
Okay. And what spin do you put on the rap music? What is the main message or topic you like to, feeling you like to?
Yeah, I promote positive music. I promote feel good. But you know what I mean? That's all I promote. Nothing negative. Nothing too negative. Just trying to uplift people and make them feel good.
Mm-hmm. And when were you interested in music? Has
Oh,
it been a lifelong interest, or?
Very. It started when I was 13 and my father was a DJ. That's how I caught
Oh,
on.
awesome. So would you accompany him to his job as a DJ?
Everyone to all his Haitian parties and him DJing. And I was just there, just caught on.
Okay. And do you perform with a group or solo?
I am solo, but I do have a group of guys that I perform with. We call ourselves the River Boys. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that because, you know, down south we was born by the water.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a lot of venues throughout Boston.
And where were you born?
I was born in Miami, Florida.
Okay. And is there a particular Miami style that you can see in your music, that you can hear in your music?
Oh yeah, definitely that bass music.
Okay. And what direction would you like your music to take?
I would love to go more into like R&B.
Oh.
A lot more into like R&B, a lot of pop. I want to infuse it with a little rock. You know what I'm saying? But I want to get more into songwriting with people.
And how would you describe your group? Are there people that how did you meet the members in your group?
Oh, I met them in Cambridge.
Okay. And what instruments do they play? What do they sound like?
They're all lyricists. No, one of them is a lyricist, and the other one is a beat maker.
Okay. And what are the specific things they contribute to the sound of it? What are their strong points in the music?
I could take originality, versatility, and a style that you will never hear before.
And what do you feel your strong point is in the music?
Being honest.
Okay. And how do you feel people are affected by music in general and by your music?
I feel there's a lot of people who's hearing the wrong message, and they're taking the message into a wrong context and doing wrong things. The way my music affects people is people feel good to listen to it, and it is not telling you to go rob nobody, go kill nobody. I'm just telling you how life is. You know what I mean? You can see it through my eyes.
And I can see that the R&B tradition that you enjoy, that's always about something positive.
Always.
So. And you've been a resident of Cambridge for a long time.
Oh, since 2004.
Okay. And how does Cambridge compare to Miami?
Oh, I like Cambridge. Cambridge is very diverse, and it's a lot of interesting people here. You know, I'm happy to call it my home.
And